There's a secret language men speak, one that isn't always obvious, but it's there, woven into the words they say when they truly want you. If you've ever found yourself analyzing his texts, replaying conversations in your mind, or wondering, what does he really mean? You're not alone. Every woman at some point has asked this question. And tonight, you're going to get the answers, because here's the truth. Men don't always express their emotions the way women do. Their desires, intentions, and feelings often come in short, seemingly simple phrases. Ones that, when understood correctly, can reveal everything. The problem? Most women miss these subtle cues, or worse, misinterpret them, leading to heartbreak, confusion, or wasted time. But that ends today. What if, from this moment forward, you could instantly decode the meaning behind his words? What if you could know whether he's serious about you or just stringing you along without second guessing? Imagine the confidence, the power, and the peace of mind that comes with understanding his hidden desires before he even realizes he's revealing them. Tonight, we're going beyond the surface. I'm going to give you 6 phrases men use when they truly want you. Phrases that, once you recognize them, will change the way you experience love and relationships forever. So listen closely, because this knowledge isn't just about hearing words. It's about seeing into the heart of a man and knowing exactly where you stand. Words are the bridge between thought and reality. They reveal a man's inner world, whether he intends to or not. When a man truly wants you, his words will reflect his emotions, his intentions, and his level of commitment. But here's where most women get lost. Men don't always communicate in the same way women do. A woman might express her affection with long, detailed messages, affectionate words, or clear statements about her feelings. But men? They often speak in fewer words, sometimes even in fragments, leaving a woman to wonder, is this real? Does he truly care? But make no mistake, when a man is genuinely interested in you, his words will hold weight. He won't speak just for the sake of speaking. He won't throw around empty compliments or vague statements with no follow-through. Instead, his words will have purpose, direction, and a level of consistency that aligns with his action. Even when his expressions are simple, even when they seem casual, there will be an underlying energy, a certainty that separates true interest from mere attraction or convenience. You see, a man's words aren't just about what he says, but also how and when he says them. If he makes an effort to communicate, if he initiates conversations, if he remembers details you've shared and references them later, that's not random. That's intentional. If he expresses admiration for your mind, your strength, your ambitions, not just your looks, he's showing you that his interest isn't superficial. And if his words include future-oriented language statements that place you in his life beyond the moment, you're seeing a man who isn't just in the present with you, he's envisioning something bigger. However, let's be clear, words alone are not enough. A man can say all the right things, but if his actions contradict his words, then the words lose their power. That's why it's crucial to not just listen, but observe. If a man tells you, "I've never met anyone like you before," but disappears for days at a time, his words mean nothing. But if he says the same phrase and then follows through with consistent attention, effort, and presence in your life, then you know his words are a reflection of his truth. So the next time you're listening to a man speak, don't just hear the words, feel the intention behind them. Are his words rooted in depth, or are they scattered, vague, and inconsistent? Is he speaking to fill the silence, or is he speaking because he truly wants you to know what's on his mind? When you start to decode his words with clarity, you stop settling for half-hearted affection. You stop second-guessing. And most importantly, you start recognizing the difference between a man who simply likes you and a man who truly wants you. A man's words are never just words. Within them lies a blueprint of his emotions, his intentions, and his level of desire for you. The problem is, most women take what a man says at face value without considering the deeper meaning behind his language. But men communicate in layers, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, and often through subtle shifts in tone, phrasing, and the way they deliver their words. When a man truly wants you, his language will reflect that in ways that go beyond the words themselves. One of the most telling aspects of his language is the energy behind it. Does he speak with enthusiasm when he talks to you? Does his tone soften when he says your name? Does he sound genuinely interested when he asks about your day, your thoughts, your dreams? A man who desires you isn't just going through the motions. His words will carry a certain depth, a certain warmth that makes you feel seen. And this is something you can feel. Words that come from genuine interest will land differently. They will make you feel connected, valued, and important, not just entertained for the moment. Another key element is the structure of his phrasing. Men who are emotionally invested don't just make generic statements, they personalize their words. Instead of saying, "That's cool," when you share something meaningful, he might say, "I love the way you think about that. It's so different from how most people see it." Instead of saying, "Have fun," he might say, "Text me when you get home so I know you're safe." These slight shifts in language indicate emotional involvement. They show that he's paying attention, that he's mentally and emotionally engaged in your world. And then there's consistency, perhaps the most critical aspect of all. A man who truly wants you will not be hot and cold in his communication. He won't flood you with affectionate words one day and then vanish the next. His language will be steady, reliable, and progressively deeper as he grows more attached. He will use words to build a connection over time, not just to get what he wants in the moment. Pay attention to the man whose words align with his behavior. He tells you he misses you, and he makes the effort to see you. He says he values you, and he treats you with respect, not just when he wants something, but all the time. That is the language of a man who is serious. Now contrast that with a man who keeps his words vague and non-committal. He might say things like, "Let's see where this goes," or "I like spending time with you, but I don't want to rush anything." On the surface, these words may seem reasonable, even thoughtful, but if there's no progression, no deepening of the connection, then his words are simply placeholders, just enough to keep you engaged, but never enough to give you certainty. When a man wants you, his words won't leave you guessing. They will provide clarity, reassurance, and a sense of forward movement. So listen closely, not just to what he says, but how he says it. Is his voice relaxed and genuine when he speaks to you, or does it feel rehearsed and calculated? Does he communicate with you regularly because he wants to, or does he only reach out when it's convenient for him? The language of a man who desires you is not in grand poetic declarations. It's in the small, consistent, emotionally rich phrases that make you feel safe, appreciated, and pursued. When you learn to decode these cues, you gain a profound advantage. You'll never have to question a man's intentions again. You'll already know. Men communicate in two primary ways, through raw emotion or through strategy. And knowing the difference can be the key to understanding whether his words come from a place of genuine feeling or if they're designed to test, control, or manipulate the situation. When a man truly wants you, his words will carry authenticity, a depth that feels instinctive, effortless, and emotionally engaged. But when a man is unsure, emotionally unavailable, or simply trying to see how far he can go, his words may sound good, but they lack the soul of true connection. The difference between emotion and strategy is subtle but powerful. Emotion-driven words are spontaneous, unfiltered, and come from a place of genuine attraction, admiration, or care. These are the phrases a man says without thinking, without calculation. They slip out naturally, sometimes unexpectedly, because they reflect how he truly feels. For example, if he says, "I don't know what it is about you, but I can't stop thinking about you." That's an emotionally driven statement. It wasn't planned. It wasn't calculated. It came from a deep place of truth. His subconscious, pulling him toward you in ways he may not even fully understand yet. On the other hand, strategy-based words are carefully chosen, often vague, and designed to elicit a specific response from you. These are the phrases that keep you guessing, keep you wondering, and keep you emotionally invested without him having to give you real certainty. A man using strategy might say something like, "I really enjoy spending time with you, but I'm not ready for anything serious right now." Or, "I don't want to lose you, but I need some time to figure things out." These statements sound emotionally charged, but they lack real commitment. They are designed to keep you interested while also giving him an escape route. A critical way to tell the difference between the two is by watching for patterns. Emotion-driven words are consistent. A man who truly wants you doesn't just say something sweet once and then disappear for days. He expresses his feelings, follows through with actions, and builds a sense of connection over time. Strategic words, on the other hand, often appear in cycles. You may notice that when you pull away, he suddenly becomes more affectionate, more verbal about his feelings. But once he has your attention again, he pulls back. His words lose their intensity, his communication slows, and you're left wondering where you stand. This is not emotional honesty. This is calculated effort designed to keep you hooked. Another way to distinguish the two is by observing his reaction to emotional depth. A man who speaks from real emotion welcomes deeper conversations. If you ask him what he means by something he said, he'll answer without hesitation. He'll be open, vulnerable, and willing to share more. But a man who speaks from strategy, he'll deflect. He'll change the subject. He'll avoid clarifying his words because his goal was never to build closeness, it was to maintain control. And here's the biggest indicator of all. Emotion-driven words inspire action. Strategy-driven words keep you waiting. A man who truly wants you won't just say things to make you feel good in the moment. His words will be backed by real effort. He won't just say, "I miss you," and then make no effort to see you. He won't say, "You mean a lot to me," and then keep you at arm's length. His words will align with his behavior in a way that leaves no room for doubt. So listen carefully. Not all words are created equal. If you feel warmth, certainty, and connection from his language, you're hearing his true emotions. But if his words make you feel uncertain, anxious, or like you constantly have to analyze his intentions, then chances are you're dealing with strategy, not sincerity. The moment you learn to tell the difference is the moment you reclaim your power in relationships. No more second guessing, no more waiting for clarity. You'll know, without a doubt, whether his words are an open door to love or just a carefully placed illusion. A man's words might captivate you in the moment, but if they aren't supported by consistent actions, they are nothing more than fleeting whispers in the wind. The truth is, words alone mean very little. A man can say everything right, but if his actions don't align with his words, you're not hearing his truth. You're hearing his potential. And potential is a dangerous thing to fall for because it keeps you stuck in hope rather than reality. Consistency is the key that separates a man who truly wants you from a man who simply enjoys your presence when it's convenient for him. A man who desires you on a deep level doesn't just express it in passing. He proves it over and over again without you having to chase or question him. His words and actions form a seamless pattern of reliability where what he says and what he does are always in sync. He doesn't just tell you, "I miss you." He makes the effort to see you. He doesn't just say, "I want to be with you." He shows up for you consistently, emotionally and physically. This consistency isn't just about grand gestures. It's in the small, everyday moments. The way he remembers things you've said, the way he follows through on promises, the way he makes an effort to integrate you into his life rather than keeping you on the sidelines. A man who wants you will make time for you, even when life gets busy. He won't leave you feeling uncertain, waiting for the next text, the next call, the next breadcrumb of attention. Instead, he will make his intentions known in a way that feels natural, stable, and reassuring. Now contrast this with inconsistency. An inconsistent man will say all the right things in the moment, but leave you feeling anxious, wondering when or if he will follow through. One day, he's showering you with attention, telling you how much he enjoys being around you, how special you are. The next, he pulls away, becomes distant, and suddenly, you're left questioning everything. When you ask what's wrong, he might say he's just busy or going through something, yet somehow he still finds time for everything else in his life. This pattern creates emotional instability, keeping you hooked in a cycle of highs and lows, always chasing the version of him that seemed so engaged before he withdrew. But here's the truth. A man who is truly invested in you doesn't disappear when life gets hard. He lets you in. He doesn't leave you wondering where you stand. He reassures you. And most importantly, he doesn't just say things for the sake of saying them. He makes sure his actions leave no room for doubt. Love, desire, and commitment aren't built on momentary passion. They are built on consistency, the kind that stands strong even when circumstances change. So the next time a man tells you something that makes your heart race, don't just absorb the words. Watch what happens next. Do his actions reflect his words over time? Do his behaviors build trust? Or do they create uncertainty? A man who truly wants you will make sure you feel wanted, not just hear it. Because real desire isn't about intensity in the moment. It's about showing up every day in ways that prove you're not just a passing thought, but a priority. When you learn to decode a man's words accurately, you gain something far more valuable than just an understanding of his intentions. You gain power. Power to respond with clarity. Power to set boundaries. Power to choose relationships that align with your worth rather than ones that leave you confused, waiting, and questioning where you stand. The ability to interpret a man's language is not just about knowing if he likes you. It's about stepping into a position where you are no longer at the mercy of mixed signals and emotional games. Too many women waste time overanalyzing texts, dissecting conversations, and trying to figure out if a man's words mean something deeper. They replay what he said, looking for clues, wondering if his compliments, his promises, or his vague, "I'm not ready yet" statements mean that someday he might come around. But when you sharpen your ability to read between the lines, you stop hoping for clarity and start seeing it. You stop waiting for potential and start recognizing patterns. You stop chasing connection and start recognizing when a connection is already solid or when it's simply not there. Understanding a man's true intentions also allows you to set boundaries without fear. When you know what his words really mean, you can respond with confidence rather than emotional reactivity. If a man is speaking in vague, non-committal phrases, you no longer feel the need to convince him of your worth. You simply acknowledge his uncertainty and choose to invest your energy elsewhere. If a man's words lack consistency, you no longer internalize it as a reflection of your value. You see it for what it is, his inability to show up fully. This shift in perspective changes everything because it removes the emotional power he might have over you and places it back in your hands. But perhaps the most empowering part of this understanding is that it allows you to recognize when a man truly wants you, not just with words, but with his entire presence. You will no longer fall for well-crafted sentences or carefully timed affection that resurfaces just when you're ready to walk away. Instead, you will feel the difference between words spoken from obligation and words spoken from genuine desire. You will notice the energy behind his communication, the consistency in his effort, and the way his words don't just sound good in the moment, but continue to hold meaning over time. Once you unlock this awareness, you will never be trapped in a cycle of uncertainty again. You will no longer find yourself waiting for a text that may or may not come. You will not wonder whether he meant what he said or if he was just caught up in the moment. You will know, you will feel it in the way he speaks to you, in the way he follows through, and in the way his words align with a clear and steady presence in your life. And in that knowing, you will discover something even more powerful than love from another. You will find deep, unwavering confidence in yourself. Because when you understand the truth behind a man's words, you stop chasing validation and you start attracting the kind of love that is real, certain, and worthy of you. At the core of every relationship, every connection, and every moment of emotional intimacy lies one undeniable truth. Words may spark attraction, but consistency, intention, and action determine whether that attraction grows into something meaningful. A man's words can be charming, poetic, even intoxicating, but if they are not backed by effort, presence, and genuine emotional investment, they are merely an illusion. And when you learn to distinguish between words that are empty and words that hold weight, you will no longer waste your time on uncertainty. You now have the power to decode his true intentions. You no longer have to sit in confusion, waiting for clarity that may never come. Instead, you recognize the patterns, you trust what his actions reveal, and most importantly, you trust yourself. No more overanalyzing texts. No more second-guessing what he meant when he said something sweet but failed to follow through. You are now equipped to see beyond words and into the reality of his desire. The most valuable lesson in all of this? When a man truly wants you, you won't have to decode anything. His words will match his actions. His communication will be steady, not sporadic. His intentions will be clear, not confusing. Love should not feel like a puzzle you have to solve or a guessing game where you're left waiting for answers. Real love, real connection feels secure. It feels effortless. It feels like the certainty of a man who isn't just saying the right things, but proving them through every action, every choice, and every moment he chooses to show up for you. So step into this power. Trust what you see, not just what you hear. And most importantly, never settle for a love that makes you question your worth. The right man won't leave you guessing. He'll make sure you know exactly where you stand.